So guys, this is day one FortiGate class in which we are technically starting. We had a class yesterday itself, but in yesterday's class we had done a discussion regarding roadmap, regarding certification and all. So that wasn't actually a technical class. Our real technical class got started from today itself. Okay. So let's see here. Here we have something called as a Fortinet Network Security Expert NSC4. That's the program that we are currently going with. Fortinet NSC. Okay, NSC stands for Network Security Expert NSC, and NSC4 is the actual course that we are currently going through, and the version is 7.6. Okay, now understand there is one term used by FortiGate. That term is called UTM. What is UTM? It's Unified Threat Management. See, every vendor has their own terms to use for a marketing purpose or for, product launch purpose or, advertising their products with some informations. So from beginning itself, FortiGate started calling themselves as a UTM device. A reason behind telling themselves as a UTM device was they said, hey, my product is a next generation firewall and I have capabilities like I can filter uh, threats through my firewall. I can filter application, sub application, URL threats, threads coming through any application. All those things can be done. That's why they gave a name as a UTM, called as a Unified Threat Management. Guys, am I clear? Did you understand what is UTM? In short, FortiGate will call their firewall as a UTM device as well. Did you understand what is UTM? Ashish,
Uh,
Ankur, Ashok?
yes, yes.
Okay. So let's see what are the topics that we are going to cover today. The major topics we'll see how to identify major features of FortiGate firewall. We'll differentiate FortiGuard packages. We'll see operation modes, architecture, and the model specifications. These are the current objectives that we are going to cover. All right. Now, see, if you see here in this picture, you can see we have a traditional network security, which means, let's say this is my organization. This is my organization. In my organization, I have multiple employees over here. Just think or imagine here we have multiple employees, and these employees are trying to get access to our internet. Okay, so they are trying to get internet access from here and they are getting access to internet. Now understand, in a previous network, in a traditional network in the sense old network technology, we had multiple devices through which we had to pass through our traffic. Like we had earlier firewall, okay, for traffic filtering. We had antivirus for filtering the viruses coming to our network. We had anti-spam, right? We had WAN optimization. We had web filtering, application filtering, intrusion prevention, VPN. I mean, just imagine how many devices we have in a network. Here we have around 8 devices connected in a network, right? So many single purpose systems to cope up with the variety of threats, right? So for each thing, we had to deploy a single device in a previous traditional network design I'm talking about. Like earlier, when there wasn't a next generation firewall, when there was a traditional devices, that time these many devices were required in a network. So it was too difficult in previous time to manage our traffics passing through our private network to a public network. Right, there was a risk. To manage the risk factor, we had to deploy many devices in our network. Understood. Now think like if one device, if one device consumes 30 seconds, for example, it takes 30 seconds to process. So 8 devices we have, that means we need around 4 seconds delay. We'll get 4 seconds of delay in a network. Right. Guys, tell me one thing. Like I'm asking you one question, please reply me. Have you guys used 2G, 3G internet? Earlier before Geo came up with the 4G network, had you guys used like 3G or 2G network of internet?
Yes.
Okay. That time, when you used to open any website, how much time was it taking? There was a delay, right? I
Yes,
mean,
there was a delay.
sometimes website wasn't opening properly. Sometimes you had to reload page.
Hmm.
Sometimes it used to take like 3 4 minutes, or I mean not minutes, you could say it could take 1 minute. I mean there was a delay. There was a delay in internet access. But today, in today's date, we have fast internet. Like we have 4G network, or now we are adapting to 5G network, and soon 6G network is coming. It means what? Delay are getting reduced. I mean, day by day, our patience levels are reducing. We are getting addicted to, fast internet, fast type of connectivity, right? So, in today's date, if you get a 4 seconds delay, will you accept it? In today's date, if you are browsing something and if you have to wait for 4 seconds, what do you think? What will be your reaction? Tell me, guys.
If buffering time is more than frustration is on peak, means definitely it would be.
Definitely, definitely. So, you know, you won't be able to accept that connection. You'll say, hey, I'll change this ISP, or you'll take a quick action, because that limit, right? Patience limit will not allow you, right? So this is what we are comparing with our traditional network and the current network. Understood? If I have to deploy these many devices to filter the traffic for each and everything, minimum I'm getting delay of 4 seconds. And that is not acceptable in today's date. See, I'll show you in today's date what is the label of, the internet speed we are expecting. Guys, 1 second equals to how many milliseconds? I mean, you can say how many millisecond equals to 1 second?
Mm.
Yes, sir.
Sorry? 1000 milliseconds equals to, sorry, yeah, 1000 milliseconds equals to 1 second.
1 second.
Understood?
Mm-hmm.
So, understand in today's date what speed we are expecting. I'm just giving you one small demo. Try to understand what is the label of speed or connectivity we are expecting. Now, let's say, for example, if I search here, test internet speed. Let's say I'm going through this website to test my internet. If I click here, go. Right now, you can see I'm getting delay of 28 milliseconds. I mean, it is taking somewhere around 28 millisecond for my connectivity. Understood? So I can reduce it. Still, I can reduce it. Guys, try to understand what I'm trying to tell here is 1000 millisecond, right, is equal to 1 second. Correct. In that also, currently the speed that I'm getting here, the delay with my internet speed is 28 milliseconds. 28 milliseconds. That's a delay. I mean, think how many times smaller than 1 second I have delay over here. But still, I feel okay. Can I reduce this delay? Can I manage? Yes, I can manage. Okay, let's see. I'll show you a small stuff. How can you guys manage it? Go to ChatGPT and ask current DNS servers. Okay, current public DNS servers. Public DNS servers. And you see there are multiple type of DNS service providers. We have a Google, we have a Cloudflare, we have a Quad9, OpenDNS. They all have their DNS. So the best one, which actually gives you the less latency, would be go with the 1.1.1 or go with 1.0.0.1. That would be the best one. And what are these service providers and what type of restrictions you'll have with the Cloudflare? Okay. So that you guys can search. You can Google it out. You can go for ChatGPT itself. You can ask ChatGPT. They will definitely give you answer. So just for your understanding, what I'm doing is I'll go to ncpa.cpl and here I'll try to show you guys. Go to properties. And here, if you go to IPv4, right, I'll just try to change my DNS, right? I did it. Now let me retest my internet. Now I'm passing my traffic through other DNS. Now you see, I reduced somewhere around 14 milliseconds delay just because of changing my DNS. It means what? DNS, your router, your switch, your service provider, everything makes sense when you are talking about the connectivity and the speed, everything. Now, if I look into my router, if my router is not good, I can change my router that can support the high speed, that will have the strong connectivity. Now, I'm somewhere little far from my router, so that's my latency as of now. So same way, if you guys work on all the factors, you can reduce the speed of your network and achieve the good speed. Guys, are you understanding what I'm trying to tell?
Yes, sir.
See, if we have multiple products in our network, and just think about if we get 4 seconds delay, what will be your patience level? Definitely, you won't allow it. Okay. So, in today's date, we are actually not having such type of traditional networks. Okay. So, we need to work with our devices. We need to upgrade our devices. We need to manage our devices. So, we'll see what type of technology should be deployed in our network so that we can reduce the impact of the traffic consumption or delay
Excuse me.
of our network. Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
Hello. Hello, sir. Have you started the class? I thought it's going to be at 11 o'clock.
No, 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 Ankit. Again, I guess you didn't see message again, I believe.
I must have missed it. That's all right.
Okay, guys, 1 minute. So I believe you guys got a rough idea about why we need to work with the traditional network, why we need to implement latest devices in our network. So Ankit, you joined little late. I'll give you some little idea, quick idea what we covered right now. Okay. So it was about a traditional network. Okay. So I was showing you the importance of next generation devices. Why next generation devices are required? Why do we need to replace our old devices to our new devices? See, in a previous network, like if I talk about 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we had these many devices in our network to protect or to do a traffic filtering. Like for VPN, we used to have different device, intrusion prevention, IPS device for threat prevention, right? Application control, web filtering, WAN optimization, anti-spam, antivirus, firewall. I mean, several devices for several features. So let's say if each device does, delay of 30 second also, then you are almost getting delayed for 4 seconds, right? Which is not at all acceptable in today's date. You won't be able to
Yeah.
accept, your patience level won't allow you to accept these things, right? So I was just giving one example of, let's say, for example, I gave some example of DNS and all, right? So I changed the DNS address. I had shown how latency can be increased. Right now, I just tested the latency in my network. Earlier, it was 28 milliseconds, right? Right now, I changed one DNS and I reduced around 14 milliseconds, delay, and I was able to achieve delay of 14 milliseconds. 14 milliseconds is how much? Like 1000 milliseconds equals to 1 second, right? 1 second. So if I'm just getting delayed of 14 millisecond, okay, then I feel okay, it's manageable, I can manage it. Just imagine in today's date, if you get delayed for 1 second also, forget about 1 second. If you get delayed for 500 milliseconds also, half of your 1 second also, your patience level won't allow you. I mean, we are working at that level of, generation of devices. So I was just giving an example. If I have these many devices in a network where I might get delay of 4 seconds, think what will you say? You would say, hey, I won't use your network. I won't use your ISP. I don't want this network. I mean, you'll
Yeah.
totally ignore it. Understood?
Yes.
Okay. So what's a solution? Solution is replacing your old devices with a new device. So here we have a FortiGate firewall, and this FortiGate firewall, it says, I have a one-stop solution, one particular firewall with all the features. You don't have to deploy separately all these devices. Just buy a FortiGate firewall and you'll get everything in a single operating system, in a single box with all the features. That's why we call it as a next generation firewall. Okay, your
Sure.
FortiGate firewall is not a traditional firewall, it's a next generation firewall. Guys, I would like to request you guys to mute your mic, and whenever you get any queries, right, feel free to turn it on and ask me question directly. Okay, because we need clarity in our video, right? So if you keep turning your mic on, we'll have some background noises, right? Thank you, guys. So our FortiGate firewall is a next generation firewall, guys, which is loaded by multiple features. We have next generation features. Next generation in the sense, I'll give you a list of those features based on which you can say our firewall is a next generation firewall, right? Now, here we'll see architecture of our FortiGate firewall. So what is architecture? Architecture basically tells you the design of a firewall. How is your firewall designed? And what are the layers of your firewall? Let's try to understand. This is basically architecture. Now, this is your hardware. First layer, you can say, this is your hardware. So it says FortiGate, Fortinet company says, I have a device, I have a hardware, right, which has 40 ASIC optimized hardware. 40 ASIC optimized hardware means what? It means I have a CPU that is application specific integrated circuit, okay, that is having application specific integrated circuit. I have a CPU which is which is ASIC supported. ASIC means what? Application specific integrated circuit. It means what? Whenever any CPU has to process any data, right? How fast it can process it. I mean, if the CPU has to process any application layer stuff, like any applications or application layer protocols, sub applications, anything, and if if your CPU is ASIC supported, it means it can fluently do a processing, right? Previous CPUs were not ASIC supported, but now CPUs are ASIC supported. So FortiGate firewall says, hey, I have my own ASIC chip, right? 40 ASIC chip. 40 ASIC chip means what? FortiGate firewall produces their own ASIC chip or the CPU, which is integrated in their hardware. That's why we call it as a 40 ASIC optimized hardware. Right, this is 40 ASIC optimized hardware. Now, on this 40 ASIC hardware, let's say, just imagine, guys, you have laptop. This is your laptop. Imagine this is your laptop, which is hardware. And inside this hardware, you have operating system. In this hardware, you have operating system. Okay. You have installed Windows, or you have installed Linux, or you have installed Mac, anything. This is your operating system, right? Same way, FortiGate firewall says, I have hardware, and inside the hardware, I have one operating system installed, and this operating system is FortiOS. They have given a name as a FortiOS. See, this FortiGate operating system is also designed based on Linux kernel. Linux kernel means you have a mini operating system on top of which we build our operating systems, right? We customize it, we modify it, and we create our own operating system. That is called, the hardening. We call it as a hardening. So we took one Linux platform because it's a secure platform, and on top of that we did some modifications like hardening. Technical word, we call it as a hardening. So once we modify that operating system, I mean Linux, and we create our own type of operating system, that is basically called as a pure operating system or your own operating system. So what FortiGate has done, they have taken one Linux platform, and on top of that, I mean, they have taken a Linux kernel, and on top of that, they have made a modification and created their own operating system, and they gave a name as a FortiOS. So here we don't have anything like Windows, Linux, Mac, or something else. No, nothing. The operating system which is running on top of a hardware of FortiGate is called FortiOS. Now, now understand here, on top of FortiOS, we have multiple modules over here. These are the modules. Understood? So we call it as a modular based firewall. Understand, your FortiGate firewall is called modular based firewall. Here I have given one term. Your FortiGate firewall is called modular based firewall. You see here, modular based firewall, right? So why do we call it as a modular based firewall? We have a reason for it. The reason is, here everything is based on modules. Now what is module? Try to understand. Module is nothing but feature. Okay. So inside a firewall, we have firewall feature. Okay. We have antivirus feature. We have web filtering feature. We have IPS feature. Now you might be thinking, sir, we are learning firewall, right? So what is this separate antivirus, separate firewall? So let me make you understand. Understand, this is your operating system. Inside the operating system, what you do, you install Skype, you install Office package, you install, multiple applications, VMware, so on. You keep installing the applications, right? So you can assume these all factors, whatever you are installing here, are the modules, right? Same way, here I have a FortiGate operating system, FortiGate firewall operating system. On top of that, they have multiple features, and that features are technically called as a module. Okay, so we have a firewall module, we have antivirus module. Now again, you might have a question in your mind, sir, we have firewall, then what is separate antivirus, what is separate web filter? Okay, okay, let me give a clarity on it. Guys, we are currently working with next generation firewall. Next generation firewall means what? A firewall having multiple features inside one device. That is called next generation firewall. It means I have multiple features. These all are the features that I have inside a single firewall. But in FortiGate, they treat it as a separate modules. Separate modules. Now, why they have separated it as a module, or why do we call it as a modular based firewall? I'll give a clarity on it. See, what they have done is, let's say for example, I have 8 GB RAM. 8 GB RAM I have, right? So in modular based firewalling, they have allocated a RAM to each modules. Let's say for example, here I gave 2 GB RAM, right? Here I gave again 2 GB RAM. Here also I gave 2 GB RAM. Here also I gave 2 GB RAM. For example, I gave 2 GB RAM to each modules. We don't have only this much modules. We have many more modules. I'm just giving one example to make you understand. Okay. What are the complete module on the FortiGate firewall? That I'll show you guys very soon. But as of now, understand that these many modules are there, and for each module we have allocated to 2 GB RAM. See, we haven't allocated. Let me correct myself. We haven't allocated. Company itself has allocated. They have predefined. We haven't defined it, and we can't edit also. We can't change it also manually. Not possible. So let's say company has already allocated 2 GB RAM for firewall, 2 GB RAM for antivirus, 2 GB RAM for web filter, 2 GB RAM for IPS. Like this, they have pre-allocated, RAM for each modules. Now let's say any traffic is passing through firewall. From here, any traffic is passing through firewall, and firewall has to do traffic filtering. Again, this traffic will be gone to antivirus. It will go to web filter if you have applied, right, for antivirus check or something. In that case, if firewall has 2 GB RAM, it can use only 2 GB RAM. It can't borrow anything from antivirus or anything from web filter. No, it can't borrow. It means firewall has to work with that 2 GB RAM itself. Okay. So why have they designed their architecture in this way? The reason is firewall should not disturb antivirus, or antivirus should not disturb web filter, right? Whatever resources are allocated to their modules, they should work with that resources only. That's why these type of resources are fixed with each and every module. That's why they started calling themselves as a modular based firewall. Guys, am I clear? Did you understand why FortiGate firewall calls themselves as a modular based firewall?
Yes, Sushil.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else? Any questions,
Yeah.
guys, so far?
So why
No,
don't
sir.
they pull all the RAM and use it like, wherever it's required at the time.
Okay. See, it's for not letting other modules to get exhausted. Now, let's say if sometime firewall requires more RAM, and if it pulls the RAM from web filtering, it might impact web filtering itself, right? If any traffic web filterings are happening here, and in that case, in such case, if firewall pulls RAM from web filtering, then it might impact the web filtering task, right? It might get more delayed, or it might fail, something like that it might happen. So what they have given is they have fixed the resources to each and every modules internally, so that they can process data within that particular resources allocated. That is only the reason over here. Ankit, am I clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, in Palo Alto, it was also fixed.
No, in Palo Alto, it wasn't fixed. In Palo Alto, we had three-tier architecture. Sorry, not three-tier, we had SP3 architecture. So in Palo Alto, we have a separate architecture. They have basically three different CPUs for three different processings, right? Though we have in FortiGate as well, but not separately given here. I mean, they have it separately as well in a FortiGate, but when I talk regarding resources allocation, that we didn't had in Palo Alto Firewall, but here we have allocation of resources module wise. That's why they gave a name as a modular based firewall. But in Palo Alto, we don't have such things. In a Palo Alto, we had, if you remember, Ankur, when we had gone through classes, I had explained you guys about SP3 architecture, right? Do you remember? Single
Yes,
pass
yes,
parallel processing. You had
yes.
attended previous class, right? So they have a different way of processing data. Checkpoint firewall has SP3 architecture. So that architecture is again different. So once you understand the architecture, you'll come to know the built how they have built the firewall, right? How they have created the firewall. That's the way of knowing if you understand the architecture. So in FortiGate firewall, we have modular based firewall, and modular based firewalling was nothing but it was pre-allocated resources to each and every modules. Okay. Now on top of this, we have one more stuff that is called FortiGuard subscription. Now, what is FortiGuard subscription? Let's understand. See, guys, in Palo Alto firewall or FortiGate firewall or a checkpoint or any other firewalls you take, right? You're not getting everything free. It's not like when you purchase a firewall, you are getting everything for free. No, it's not like that. You have to purchase license. Most of the vendors will give you firewall feature free, but next generation features will be payable. You have to pay and purchase subscription, right? So in FortiGate firewall, they have created one subscription package and they gave a name as a FortiGuard subscription. Okay, they gave a name as a FortiGuard subscription service. It means if you guys don't purchase FortiGuard subscription, it means you guys will not get access of all these next generation feature. Understood? Now this is summary of architecture. FortiGate uses 40 ASIC. ASIC means application specific integrated circuit or a chip, okay, to enhance the performance of the device. This is called ASIC feature of your CPU. FortiGate firewall is called modular based firewall. And why it is called modular based firewall? I already explained you guys. Each modules like firewall, antivirus, web filter, etc. has pre-allocated CPU, resources like CPU and RAM, etc. Right? Module-based licensing can be purchased, or you can say subscription-based. The best part is, if any module gets exhausted or overloaded, it does not affect other module. Now, this is the reason why they created a modular based firewall, guys. The reason behind having modular based firewall is this. Okay. All right. Now, these are the three CPUs which are integrated inside your hardware. Okay. We call it as a NSC or NP7 processor. Not NSC, we call it as a network processor 7. We also call it as a content processor and on-chip processor. This is inbuilt, hard-coded inside your hardware. Right. All these CPUs are there inside your hardware. Okay. We have different type of facilities or your features based on these processors. Right. Network processor will deal with all the networking protocols, route, ARP, quality of service. This type of stuff will be taken care by network processor. Okay. When it comes to content processor, the word itself, content, says that content processor will basically deal with content filtering. Content filtering in the sense, if any virus, any Trojan, anything comes, right? This processor will take care of that. That's why we call it as a content processor. And any other type of traffics coming to your network, right? It will try to use the on-chip system processor. So all these three type of CPUs will work together to process your data. But still, we don't call it as a SP3 architecture, because SP3 architecture word has been used by Palo Alto Firewall. SP3 architecture is single pass parallel processing. 3-tier architecture is used by Checkpoint Firewall. Okay, that's why FortiGate Firewall calls themselves as a modular based firewall. So these are the type of CPUs used in our FortiGate. Now, right now, I told you guys about FortiGuard subscription, right? So FortiGuard subscription means what? It's a package. It's a package. Okay. You see here, it's a package. Inside the package, you'll get multiple things, like you'll get a subscription of antivirus, IPS, SSL. You'll get live queries, live support, web filtering, anti-spam, right? And updates from their services, right? All these things are under the FortiGuard subscription. If you purchase a FortiGuard subscription, you'll get everything which are required for next generation firewalling. But if you just purchase a firewall, definitely you will get nothing. Okay, I mean nothing in the sense you will get only firewall as a traffic filtering, but next generation features will not work. That's why FortiGuard subscription is very, very important. Guys, am I clear with what is FortiGuard subscription or this architecture of firewall? Is that clear to all of you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Guys, in our upcoming class, might be tomorrow itself or might be day after tomorrow, I'll show you guys live how to register and how to license our firewall. Okay. I have two physical hardware with me, physical FortiGate firewall. So I had kept that firewall for class itself. So I wanted you guys to show live registration. How would you register the live firewall? And yeah, in a real time also, like deployment perspective, how would you register it? How that registration process works, entire thing I'll be showing you, because I have to register 2 firewalls. So 1 firewall I'll use for your classes. Okay.
That would be nice.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So guys, like few more students, I guess they are willing to join. Okay. So till today, we'll keep it till this topic itself. Okay. Today we covered architecture of our firewall and FortiGuard subscription. Tomorrow we'll see the rest of topics that we had discussed earlier. Okay.